Hello everyone. Tonight I'm bringing you a bedtime story titled The Train to Nowhere. Settle in, relax, and let your imagination take you on a mysterious journey. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any of our enchanting tales. Sweet dreams and happy listening. The Unexpected Journey. The morning started like any other. Sarah woke up to the sound of her alarm, groggily getting out of bed to begin her daily routine. The city was alive with its usual hustle and bustle, and Sarah moved through it all with a practiced ease. She caught her usual train to work, squeezing into the crowded car and finding her usual spot by the window. It was a mundane, predictable routine, one she had followed for years. But today was different. As the train rumbled along its familiar route, Sarah felt a sudden jolt. The lights flickered, and the train came to an unexpected stop. Confused murmurs filled the car as passengers glanced around, trying to understand what had happened. A voice crackled over the intercom, announcing a delay due to an unknown issue. Sarah sighed, pulling out her phone to check the time. She couldn't afford to be late today. Minutes passed, and then more. The train remained stationary, and Sarah's frustration grew. She considered her options, getting off and finding another way to work, or simply waiting it out. Just as she was about to stand, the train lurched forward again, but something felt off. The scenery outside the window had changed. Instead of the familiar cityscape, she saw fields and rolling hills. Sarah's heart raced. She knew every inch of her commute, and this was not part of it. The other passengers seemed equally puzzled, but there was a strange collective acceptance among them. No one panicked. Instead, they watched the passing landscape with curiosity. A soft voice broke her thoughts. "First time on this route?" Sarah turned to see an elderly man sitting across from her. His eyes twinkled with a mix of wisdom and mischief. "Is it that obvious?" she replied, attempting a smile. He nodded. "I've been on this train many times. It takes you places you never expect, shows you things you never thought you'd see." Sarah was intrigued. "What do you mean? This isn't the usual route." The man chuckled. "It's not about the destination, my dear. It's about the journey. Sometimes life takes you on unexpected paths to help you see things differently." Sarah leaned back, pondering his words. Outside, the scenery continued to change, shifting from green fields to dense forests. She found herself relaxing, the anxiety of being late slowly melting away. The unfamiliar route, the unexpected journey, it all felt strangely comforting. The train slowed as it approached a small station. The sign read, "Everwood," a name Sarah had never heard before. Passengers began to disembark, and the elderly man stood, giving her a nod. "This is my stop. Enjoy the ride, Sarah." "How do you know my name?" she asked, but he was already gone, lost in the crowd. As the train pulled away from Everwood, Sarah felt a sense of anticipation. She had no idea where she was going or what she would find, but for the first time in a long time, she felt truly alive. The mundane routine had been shattered, replaced by the thrill of the unknown. She settled back into her seat, watching the ever-changing scenery with new eyes. Every bend in the track, every new vista was a promise of discovery. And as the train journeyed further into the unknown, Sarah felt a quiet certainty that she was exactly where she needed to be. Encounters along the way. The train continued its journey through the lush, verdant landscape, each turn revealing a new, picturesque scene. Sarah found herself mesmerized by the beauty outside her window. It was a stark contrast to the gray, monotonous cityscape she was used to. The air inside the train felt different, fresher, as if it carried the scent of the fields and forests they passed. As she was lost in her thoughts, the train slowly came to a halt at another small station. The sign read, Maplewood. The platform was quaint, almost out of a storybook, with cobblestone paths and flower beds brimming with vibrant blooms. Passengers began to board, and among them was a young woman carrying a guitar case. She sat down across from Sarah, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Hello there," the woman said, smiling warmly. "First time on this train?" Sarah nodded, returning the smile. "Yes, it's quite the unexpected journey." The woman laughed softly. "That's the best kind. I'm Emma, by the way." "Sarah, nice to meet you." Emma settled into her seat, placing her guitar case beside her. "I'm a traveling musician. This train takes me to the best places for inspiration. There's something magical about discovering new towns and meeting new people." Sarah's curiosity was piqued. "Do you perform in these towns?" Emma nodded. "Yes, every place has its own unique vibe, and I love capturing that in my music. It's amazing how much you can learn about yourself and others by just stepping out of your routine." Sarah thought about her own life, the rigid schedule she had adhered to for so long. Meeting Emma felt like another nudge from the universe, urging her to embrace the unknown. "I've been on the same path for years. This detour feels like a wake-up call." Emma's eyes twinkled. "Sometimes, life knows what you need better than you do. Maybe this train ride is your chance to explore new horizons." Their conversation was interrupted as the train started moving again, leaving Maplewood behind. Sarah felt a newfound excitement bubbling within her. She looked forward to the next stop, the next encounter, and the stories that would unfold. As the train chugged along, an older woman with a kind face and gentle demeanor joined them. She introduced herself as Mrs. Thompson, a retired schoolteacher. Her presence was calming, and she quickly engaged both Sarah and Emma in a discussion about the various places she had visited on this train. "I've been riding this train for years," Mrs. Thompson said, her voice filled with warmth. "Every journey brings something new. It's like a book with endless chapters, each one more fascinating than the last." Sarah listened intently as Mrs. Thompson recounted stories of her travels. She spoke of charming villages, hidden art galleries, and local festivals that celebrated the unique culture of each town. Her tales painted vivid pictures in Sarah's mind, making her eager to experience these places for herself. The train made another stop, this time at a station called Willow Creek. A middle-aged man in a business suit boarded, looking slightly out of place among the more relaxed travelers. He took a seat next to Sarah, introducing himself as Michael. "Do you travel often on this train?" Sarah asked, curious about his story. Michael shook his head. "No, this is my first time. I usually fly for business trips, but my flight was canceled, and I had to find an alternative. Honestly, I wasn't looking forward to it, but now I'm glad I ended up here. It's a nice change of pace." Sarah smiled, finding comfort in the shared sense of serendipity among the passengers. Each person she met had a unique story, yet they were all brought together by this unusual train ride. As they continued talking, she felt a growing sense of connection and camaraderie. The sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the landscape. The train's interior was bathed in warm, soft light, creating a cozy atmosphere. Sarah leaned back in her seat, feeling more relaxed than she had in a long time. The journey was far from over, and she looked forward to discovering what lay ahead. With each passing mile, Sarah's sense of adventure deepened. The train was not just a means of transportation, it was a vessel of discovery, carrying her toward new experiences and perspectives. She was beginning to understand that the journey itself was the destination. Stories from the heart. The train rolled steadily on, the rhythmic clatter of wheels against tracks creating a soothing backdrop to the conversations blossoming among the passengers. The sky outside had deepened to a rich twilight, stars beginning to peek through the fabric of the evening. Sarah felt a sense of tranquility wash over her as the gentle rocking of the train lulled her into a reflective state. Emma, with her guitar now perched on her lap, began to strum softly, filling the car with a melodious tune. The music was calming, weaving seamlessly into the ambience of the journey. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, letting the music and the movement of the train transport her to a place of inner peace. When she opened her eyes again, she noticed a young couple sitting a few seats down, engrossed in a lively conversation. They seemed to be in their late 20s, their faces glowing with enthusiasm. Curious, Sarah leaned in a bit to catch snippets of their dialogue. "And then we decided to take this train as a spontaneous adventure," the woman said, her laughter infectious. "We've been planning our wedding for months, and we needed a break from all the chaos." Her fiancé nodded, a grin spreading across his face. "Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. We figured a train ride would be the perfect way to relax and enjoy some time together before the big day." Sarah felt a pang of nostalgia as she listened to them. She remembered her own engagement, the excitement and the dreams of a future filled with love and adventure. It was a bittersweet memory, but being on this train made her feel a sense of renewal, as if she could start dreaming again. The couple must have noticed her listening because the woman turned to Sarah and smiled. "Hi there, I'm Lily, and this is Mark. We're on a little pre-wedding escape. What brings you on this train?" Sarah introduced herself, sharing a brief version of her unexpected journey. Lily and Mark listened with genuine interest, their eyes lighting up at the serendipity of it all. It wasn't long before Mrs. Thompson and Michael joined in, and soon they were all sharing stories and experiences. Mrs. Thompson recounted tales from her teaching days, her eyes twinkling as she spoke of her students and the joy of seeing them grow. Michael shared anecdotes from his business travels, surprisingly humorous stories that had everyone laughing. Emma played gentle background music, her fingers dancing over the strings of her guitar, adding a lyrical quality to their conversation. As the evening progressed, Sarah found herself opening up more than she had in years. She talked about her job, her dreams of becoming a writer, and the way she felt stuck in her routine. The group listened intently, offering words of encouragement and wisdom. Lily spoke up, her voice warm and reassuring. "You know, sometimes we get so caught up in our daily lives that we forget to chase our dreams. This train ride could be the perfect opportunity for you to start writing again. Maybe it's a sign." Mark nodded in agreement. "Absolutely. There's something about new experiences and meeting new people that can really spark creativity." Mrs. Thompson added, "Life has a way of guiding us to where we need to be, even if it doesn't always make sense at the time. Embrace this journey, Sarah. You never know where it might lead." Their words resonated deeply with Sarah. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, a desire to explore the possibilities that lay ahead. The train ride, initially a source of confusion and anxiety, had transformed into a journey of self-discovery and connection. The train made another stop, this time at a station called Silverwood. The night was cool and clear, and the platform was illuminated by soft, golden lights. Some passengers disembarked, while new ones boarded, each bringing their own stories and energy to the journey. As the train continued on, Sarah felt a growing sense of anticipation. She looked around at her newfound friends, grateful for their company and the stories they shared. This unexpected journey had become a tapestry of experiences, each thread adding richness to the fabric of her life. With the train moving steadily through the night, Sarah leaned back, her heart full of hope and excitement for what was to come. She was no longer just a commuter on a routine journey. She was an adventurer, ready to embrace whatever the future held. The path of reflections. As the train ventured deeper into the night, the conversations grew quieter, each passenger lost in their own thoughts. The rhythmic sound of the wheels and Emma's soft strumming created a serene atmosphere, perfect for reflection. Sarah gazed out of the window, watching the moonlit landscape blur past, her mind drifting through the memories and stories shared throughout the day. At one point, the train began to slow, pulling into a station marked Whispering Pines. The name itself seemed to hold a promise of tranquility. A few passengers got off, replaced by new faces. Among them was an elderly man with a gentle demeanor, carrying a small leather-bound journal. He found a seat near Sarah, his eyes twinkling with a kind of knowing wisdom. Curiosity piqued. Sarah introduced herself. "Hi, I'm Sarah. Is this your usual route?" The man smiled warmly. "Hello, Sarah. I'm Henry. I take this train whenever I need to clear my mind. There's something about the journey that helps me see things more clearly." Sarah nodded, feeling a connection with Henry's sentiment. "I've found that to be true as well. This journey has been quite the unexpected adventure." Henry's smile deepened. "That's the beauty of it. We often find what we're looking for when we least expect it." He opened his journal, revealing pages filled with neat handwriting and sketches. "I like to document my thoughts and the people I meet along the way. Would you like to share your story?" Taken aback by the offer, Sarah hesitated, but there was something about Henry's presence that made her feel at ease. She began to talk about her life, her job, and the sense of monotony that had led her to feel stuck. She spoke of her dreams of becoming a writer and how this journey had reignited that passion. Henry listened intently, occasionally jotting down notes in his journal. When she finished, he looked at her thoughtfully. "You have a beautiful story, Sarah. It's clear that you have a lot of heart and depth. This journey might be the perfect beginning for your writing." Feeling encouraged, Sarah smiled. "Thank you, Henry. I think you're right. I've been inspired by everyone I've met on this train." Henry nodded. "Inspiration is everywhere, if we're open to seeing it. Sometimes it's the smallest moments that leave the biggest impact." The train continued on, and soon, a woman in her 30s joined their conversation. Her name was Rachel, and she was a painter traveling to an art exhibit in a distant town. She spoke passionately about her work, the challenges she faced, and the joy of creating something meaningful. Sarah was fascinated by Rachel's story. "It must be amazing to express yourself through your art. Do you ever struggle with finding inspiration?" Rachel nodded. "All the time. But I've learned that inspiration comes from living life fully. Every experience, every person you meet adds a brushstroke to your canvas. This train ride, for example, has given me so many ideas already." Their conversation continued, weaving through topics of art, life, and the pursuit of dreams. Henry occasionally added his insights, drawing from his own rich experiences. The camaraderie among them deepened, creating a sense of belonging and mutual understanding. As they approached another station, Misty Hollow, the train slowed down once more. The platform was shrouded in a light fog, adding an air of mystery to the stop. More passengers boarded, including a young man with a backpack full of hiking gear. He introduced himself as Alex, an avid adventurer exploring the country's hidden trails. Alex's stories of his hiking expeditions captivated the group. He spoke of breathtaking views, encounters with wildlife, and the profound peace he found in nature. "There's something about being in the wilderness that makes you feel truly alive," he said, his eyes shining with passion. Sarah listened, feeling her own sense of adventure stirring. The stories she heard were like pieces of a puzzle, each adding to the bigger picture of life's rich tapestry. She realized that every person on this train had something valuable to offer, a unique perspective that enriched her own journey. The night grew darker, and the train continued its steady progress. The group settled into a comfortable silence, each lost in their thoughts. Sarah felt a deep sense of gratitude for this unexpected detour. She had met incredible people, heard inspiring stories, and rediscovered her own dreams. As the train moved forward, Sarah knew that her journey was far from over. The path ahead was filled with unknowns, but she felt ready to embrace them. She leaned back in her seat, her heart full of hope and excitement for the adventures to come. Arriving at new beginnings. As dawn began to break, the soft light of the morning sun filtered through the train windows, casting a gentle glow on the passengers. Sarah woke to the sight of the early morning mist rising from the fields, the world outside looking fresh and new. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, her heart light and her mind clear. Emma was already awake, tuning her guitar and softly humming a melody. Sarah smiled at her, grateful for the music that had accompanied their journey. Across from her, Henry was jotting down notes in his journal, capturing the essence of the trip and the stories they had shared. Rachel and Alex were engaged in a quiet conversation, sharing their experiences of art and adventure. There was a sense of camaraderie among them, a bond formed through shared stories and a mutual appreciation for the unexpected journey they had undertaken. The train made its final stop at a station called New Horizons. The name felt fitting, a symbolic end to this leg of their journey and a promise of new beginnings. Sarah gathered her belongings, feeling a mix of excitement and a touch of sadness at saying goodbye to her newfound friends. As they disembarked, the group lingered on the platform, reluctant to part ways. Emma broke the silence, her voice filled with warmth. "This has been an incredible journey. I'm so grateful for each of you and the stories we've shared." Henry nodded, his eyes twinkling. "Indeed, this journey has reminded me that life's greatest treasures are found in the people we meet and the experiences we share. I hope our paths cross again someday." Rachel smiled, holding her sketchbook close. "You've all inspired me so much. I can't wait to capture this journey in my paintings. Thank you for being a part of it." Alex, with his backpack slung over his shoulder, looked out toward the horizon. "This train ride has been a reminder that adventure is always just around the corner. I'm excited to see where life takes us next." Sarah felt a lump in her throat, overwhelmed by the gratitude and the connections she had formed. "Thank you all for being part of this journey. I've learned so much from each of you. This train ride has changed me in ways I can't even put into words." They exchanged contact information, promising to stay in touch and perhaps meet again for another adventure. With final hugs and heartfelt goodbyes, they went their separate ways, each carrying with them the memories and lessons of their journey together. Sarah walked away from the station, her steps light and her heart full. She felt a renewed sense of purpose and an eagerness to embrace the unknown. The unexpected train ride had not only shown her new places, but had also opened her eyes to new possibilities within herself. She took a deep breath, feeling the crisp morning air fill her lungs. There was a whole world out there, waiting to be explored, and she was ready to embrace it with open arms. As she made her way toward her next destination, Sarah knew that this was just the beginning. The journey on the train had been a catalyst for change, a reminder that life is full of surprises and that the best adventures often come when we least expect them. With each step, she felt more confident, more alive. The stories she had heard, the people she had met, and the experiences they had shared would stay with her, guiding her on her path. She was no longer just a commuter on a routine journey. She was an adventurer, ready to explore the world and all its possibilities. And as she looked toward the horizon, she smiled, knowing that the best was yet to come.